Deep in the shadows, I know it's hard to put one foot in front of the other.
Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is CeeChronicles. I post fragrance related content on this platform and would very much appreciate you joining the family if you are not subscribed. And to those who are subscribed, thank you so much for coming back and supporting this channel. I have two fragrances in front of me here. I would have come with a singular review of Her Confession by Lattafa, but when I did the unboxing for Her Confession, which is this particular fragrance, I had a lot of comments in the comment section from people asking how different it is from Eclaire. So instead of just bringing a review, a singular review for this one, I'm going to give you my thoughts about it and then of course do the comparison so that we kill two birds with one stone. I'm going to start with Her Confession. The bottle is dramatic and I'm pretty sure most of you are familiar with this because if you're into your Middle Eastern fragrances, you will know that this is not a new perfume, maybe new on my channel, but it's been about to block for about 2 months or so right now. This particular fragrance, guys, draws its inspiration from that Blanche Betty from Liquid Imagineers. And I do have the Blanche Betty and I've compared it with that. And I can tell you upfront that this is not a tweaked version of, this is not a rendition of, this is actually a par with Blanche Betty. So if you're looking for an option that's going to save you money, of course, Her Confession is going to do that. It opens up, guys, with a bold tuberose as well as a jasmine. You're going to detect a white floral, which is quite lush there. That is in the forefront. However, together with that white floral, immediately you get that feel of milk. Okay, so this is built on that milk note. It's going to be lactonic, it's going to be gourmand. So if you like your fragrances on the edible side or reminding you of food, this is certainly a fragrance that's going to do that because the milk note in here is pretty generous, but it works in tandem with that tuberose, making it a floral, milky style of a fragrance. Now, the perfume itself, this particular juice itself is mahonial in nature. So what it does is it's going to play with your nose or your senses in such a way that you're going to interpret it as a velvety. That is the presentation of this. So, to me at least, these individual notes I'm talking about are present, but they present as just this mental shortcut of a velvety feel of a refined fragrance. That is what I get, in my senses. And then, of course, the juice in itself has the sweetness there of the vanilla as well as a warm umbrette, slight aromaticness of the tonka. And I think it was probably a note that was needed to ensure that it doesn't hit you on the chest there, because it does interpret gourmand as though you have a bowl of vanilla ice cream, like a very fattened vanilla ice cream there that you're eating, and that would be an ice cream that after maybe 5, 6, 7 spoons there, you just have enough, So I think the spicy or aromatic tone that is added in this fragrance is just to make sure that it doesn't cross over to I'm going to use the word nauseating for lack of another word, but I'm just saying it doesn't get to that. Okay, I don't get a pushy style of a fatty gourmand, something like that. But yes, you are going to detect that this is built around that creamy texture. The milk turns into like a creamy feel, and for some it's going to feel like whipped cream to the nose there. And then they have added just a slight feel of incense, which some might not get and some may get. The incense in itself does not interpret as smoky because every time I talk of incense, I have to explain it that way, because sometimes incense can interpret or give a mental shortcut that, oh, okay, there's going to be a smoky element to this. It's not like that. It's just like an incensey finish, if you will, something that's not really smoky, but an element that you would find in incense, if you will. Say, for instance, you smell the incense without burning it. That is something that you're going to get in this, and that also helps with that velvety texture of the actual fragrance. This fragrance on the skin, even on the clothing, it holds its own. However, it doesn't match when it comes to projection versus this one. I'm not yet comparing, I'm just telling you so that we get to the end of it where, some people want to know the lasting power and stuff. I get a fragrance that kind of speaks for the first 2 hours without necessarily being room filling, but say people around you, maybe 3 meter radius, will be able to smell this for about 2 hours, after which it's going to leave a faint trail there, but it does hold its own for up to 8 hours. And the juice in itself just feels as though it's going, you know, for the quintessential feminine style of juice. And I'd like to put it under feminine based on the fact that, of course, Lattafa did drop a black one, which they called his confession. Another plus to this is it, you know, did not present as a juice that needed maceration. I could be wrong because mine is about, say, 2 weeks in my collection, but it just came as a juice that was bringing everything there to the surface the way it should be. You know, the milk is milking, the tonka is there, but just slightly, just adding to that, you know, milky texture to make sure that things don't go overboard, don't get, you know, like in your chest there. And the vanilla, the sweetness in this is not as amped up as in this, but the juice in itself is presenting as, if it should get better, it's going to even get maybe better in terms of lasting power. But in terms of presentation, it's not coming across as a juice that's all over the place that I would say, oh, maybe I need time for it to sit and do one or two things. So that is what I can say about this. I'm going to bring it back in a minute. Now, anyway, as for the Eclaire, right, I'm going to spray it here, but I have pretty much, you know, knowledge on this fragrance to an extent that I can't even talk about it without actually spraying. This one does present as rich, creamy, and it has that gourmand thing that you're going to get in this, right? So the two fragrances vibe the same in the sense that they are both milky textured, creamy there, but this one has that milky nuance bouncing off an obvious caramel. So this does not present as a glass of milk, if you will. It presents as though you were making, or you're in a kitchen. If you're in a kitchen and you know how to make fudge, caramel, that sort of thing, that's how this one presents, where the creaminess is presenting with like a slightly burnt sugar feel, slightly vanilla feel, buttery feel, if you will, creamy fudge, you know, fudge finish of a caramel mix. That's what you're going to get there. So this one, to my nose, does not have something that bounces as floral. So I can immediately say they're different in that regard, where this one presents as a white floral in a milky mix, and the bottle is actually befitting for what it is interpreting as a white floral. Some people are actually going to get more of the floral than they do of the milk, but I get a perfect balance of both. This does not have that. This just comes across to my nose as a rich, creamy feel of a buttery type of a fragrance, wafts of a chocolatey thing, but it's coming as an undertone. It's coming off as just carrying, you know, like it's presenting as that one dish of that caramel mix or that fudge mix. This does have a chocolate note, but I did not bother dwelling into that because it's going to be nose specific. The chocolate is working in tandem, you know, with that vanilla, and the Ambretton is presenting as just a warm feel in here. And to an extent, I can say the chocolate here kind of interprets as white chocolate, the way it just kind of fuses with the milk in this. Now this is going to give you wafts of something that feels chocolatey, but it comes across as a byproduct of, you know, than the actual cacao, if you will. So I'm just going to give credit to that caramel mix, where it's a fusion of a lot of yumminess to the nose. I have put some coumarin in here, and I think that is just to add an aromatic, kind of like aromatic, even spicy, to an extent even hay-like finish, also to kind of neutralize what otherwise is a very sweet fragrance. This is sweeter than this to my nose, so I think it is the use of that spicy kick there, that coumarin that they have added a little bit of, just to add, to make sure that the fragrance in itself has got like an aromatic accord to it, because the sweetness can be a little bit pushy, and more so that it does also have the inclusion of the honey. So it's sweet vanilla, and then the honey, and then the caramel. So you've got like a sticky sweet situation going on there, okay? And sort of like a burnt sugar, if you will, but not like burnt to an extent of crossing over to smoky, but you're gonna get wafts of like a burnt sugar feel in this, and of course the creaminess, as I said, coming together in that buttery feel, okay, where you're going to get a creamy nuance, but that creamy nuance is coming across as though it's in, you know, it's fused in that butter mix, making sure that it does interpret that caramel to the mental shortcut when it comes to this one, guys. If you know the Eclaire sweets, I'm going to put a packet of them on the side there, just opening the Eclaire sweets and just opening the wrapper of the Eclaire sweets. If you put them in your mouth there, that taste is exactly what they have bottled here, but of course it's in perfumey form. So to cut to the chase, that's how this one feels. Okay. Now the differences here are going to be the fact that this one has got the floral chord, so this one is going to give you milk as well as florals. Okay, so you've got to love both, meaning you've got to love the tuberose, because the tuberose is a little bit active, very active in this one, as well as a jasmine, all right? And the sweetness is there, but not as sweet as this one, all right? And then the creaminess is there, but in this one is more distinct than it is in this one. In this one, it presents, you know, as I said, a caramel kind of milky or creaminess, if you will. Both of them, yes, are gourmand. Both of them are sweet. This one is sweeter. You know, this one has presence. This one is actually room filling. But I'm not going to take anything away from her confession. It could be that it's too soon for me to talk about, you know, whether this is room filling or not. That is if it changes. But as I said, it presented as a juice that feels as though it did sit in Lattafa's, you know, warehouse for a while, to an extent that when they bottled it, it was just ready for use, as opposed to some of the fragrances that they give us there. This one is room filling. Okay, this one leaves a trail. This one has a massive projection, if you will, and depending on the number of sprays, if you go to town, you know, with this one, you will certainly get compliments, and it's going to be compliments around that, you know, oh, you smell yummy type of thing. Whereas this one, you know, can easily have you having compliments of, that's a nice floral that you're wearing, if you know what I mean. So those are the differences, guys. I can detect the differences myself, but if you're not sure, even after this explanation, whether you will be able to detect the differences, because, you know, with some people, if you're one of those people that has a palette that cannot transition from note to note, maybe fixated on the fact that these two are just gourmands and these two have got that creamy accord, and then after purchasing both, you start thinking, well, did I need both? So if you're not sure, you may want to purchase one and then get a decant of the other. But if you are pretty sure that you will be able to extract the floral in here, which I said it is pretty loud, then you can certainly buy both. I don't see both as redundant. I see the two doing two different things. However, they are gourmand textured, they are feminine textured, they're both yummy smelling. This one more yummier than this, but yes, they all have that milky, creamy accord. So you have to love creamy fragrances. This one mostly lactonic fragrances, and this probably you could get away with just loving yummy fragrances, because it does have, of course, that spicy kick there in the end coming from the Kubra. That's a wrap, guys. That is what I can say about these two fragrances. The C Chronicles is my name. Thank you so much for joining me today. Let's meet in the comment section where we discuss more about fragrances. Let me know your thoughts on these two fragrances if you own both. Remember to turn on post notifications, guys. That way you get to be notified anytime I upload a video. Like and share this one, and remember that smelling good is a form of good manners. Cheers.